Well, once again, we got a Sabres alumni that is still playing. He's not retired. He's playing in Europe, and that is Derek Roy, the Royzy. How are you doing, bud?
I'm good, buddy. How's it going?
I'm doing good. Are you still considered the Don? That was your nickname. You were the Godfather in the locker room. Do they know you're the Godfather over in Germany?
No, I don't think so. I think my career came up with that nickname, and that was somehow it stuck, and everyone just kept calling me, and everyone just throwing out nicknames left and right, and it was obviously a fun time. We had a great locker room.
We always talk about nicknames with Andrew Peters on the Instigators, and he says he hates that it's just like Petey, Royzy, Marty. Like, that was a perfect nickname. Like, the guys knew you were the Don, and it was just, a perfect veteran like Mike Greer to be able to come up with that.
Well, it all started, like, I had to drive all those guys from the Marriott. My first season in the NHL, I was staying at the Marriott out in Amherst. So we go back and forth, and these guys, they got traded. It was like Beersy, Gilson, Brownie, and maybe somebody else, but they all got traded, and then I had to take care of their driving, so I had to make sure they got up on time, drove them, and then it was like, hey, where are we going for lunch? They had no idea where to go, so I'm like, okay, we're going here every day, we're going to Chef's for pregame meal, so it became like, so I was on their beck and call, like I was telling like every time, like, hey man, drive me here or drive me there, so we're doing what I want to do now, and then it became like, oh, whatever, the Don, and then TC jumped on it, and it became like a thing. So that was fun.
Well, that was fun, and I think what we can sense out of this story is how tight this group of player, especially now we're focusing on the 05-06 season, how tight of a group it was. Now, you didn't start the season with the Sabres that year. Were you disappointed to having to go back to Rochester to the start of the 05-06 season and not being able to start on time with everybody else?
100%. Yeah. It's, it's obviously tough. I played 2 years before that in the NHL. I think I played 50 games or 49 games. And then I got, then it was a lockout. So that's tough. You're playing your whole life to make the NHL. You finally make it. And then then there's a lockout. So that was like, oh man. And then it was always like, okay, we're going to play 40 games. And then it was going to play, okay, we're going to play 30. And then it became to a point where there was no season. And then it was like, well, we had a great bunch of guys. And a lot of those guys were on our team moving forward and with the Sabres, like Ryan Miller, Paul Gostad, Jason Palmville. We had a ton of guys that like grew up through that Rochester system. And they do it so well down there. So that was so it's such a great thing to build camaraderie with the guys down in Rochester and continue it on to the NHL. But obviously, like you said, a little disappointed I got sent down. But I had two options, either fold or work harder and try to get back up, right? So I just worked as hard as I could and worked my way back up.
Yeah, I never seen you fold at poker, so I don't think you're going to fold at the game of hockey either. So let me ask you this, though. You talk about Rochester in 04-05 in Rochester. You had 14 points in 16 playoff games. And now in 05-06, I believe you had 15 points in 18 playoff games. Like, you were feeling playoffs at that time. We're showing Game 6 tonight on MSG against the Flyers in the first round. And you had a pretty good series against the Flyers that year.
I remember Lindy pulling us aside. It was me, Mike Greer, and Chris Drury, and they said, you got to take care of the Forsberg line. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I grew up watching this guy. Like, he was like one of my idols. Like, I used to wear number 21 growing up because of Forsberg, right? And we had Colorado Avalanche jerseys in our ODMHA, like Minor Hockey Association.
Yep.
So we were called the Cobras, but we had these. So anyway, so I was modeling my game after, and then we have to like play him in the first round. So the first 5 games, I was just so just trying to like play checking wise, and I'm an offensive guy, but I was like really focused on shutting that line down. And then I remember, I think I missed a penalty shot in one of the games. And then the 6th game, I was like, you know what, I'm going full offense tonight. And then it sort of worked out in our favor. But our line, I think, built a little chemistry throughout that series and followed it over to the Ottawa series and the Carolina. So it was a great line. It was two great line outs.
Yeah, no spoiler alert, but Game 6 we end up winning 7-1. So that was definitely an offensive outburst, and your line with Drew and Gersey led the way with that. So that was awesome. Now, you were on the Sabres for 8 years. I'm going to ask you some quick hits right here. Who was your best teammate during your time in Buffalo?
Oh man,
that's a tough one.
Quick hitters, I gotta think. Like that takes me forever to think about. What? I mean, geez, that's really hard, man. You're putting me right on the spot.
Okay, I won't worry about that because you don't want. I know you're too good of a guy. You don't want to put anybody. Don't want to leave anybody off.
So many like guys I looked up to, like Danny Briere and Chris Drury and JP Dumont, guys like that, or awesome guys like Maxi Finnegan and Thomas Vancouver on my line, and Jason Palmville, and Ryan Miller, and yourself. Like, it's just the list goes on, right? So it's man, we were so close. I miss those days. It was awesome.
Who was the funniest though? Do you remember one guy being like the funniest teammate?
I mean, I played with Andrew Peters in Kitchener in the OHL. So I knew what to expect going in. And then he just took it to another level. Like and then he was just in control of music all the time and dancing and everything. So being around Petey, he was my roommate too on the road my first few years. Being around Petey is the best. He's probably the funniest guy.
He's still the same way, and that's why we all love him here. On our show on the Instigators, I do a little this or that. So it's basically an either or. Which one was the better team, the 05-06 team or the 06-07 team, this or that?
Ooh, that's I think I would think 05-06.
Yeah,
I think we were peaking and then we got better and better throughout the season, and in the playoffs we learned how good we were in the playoffs. I think.
Yeah, and well, obviously with the Ottawa series and the Pominville goal and then Scary Good, that really led to what ended up being the 06-07 season. So okay, and last but not least, if you're still playing, you're still keeping in shape, you watch the NHL now, and do you think, man, I could still play in the NHL? I could park myself in front of the net and score a couple of goals for sure.
I mean, I'm not a guy that parks myself in front of the net, but I think I could play a few games, but I wouldn't last the whole season. I think that's such a time. The 82 games, we only play 50 over in Europe, so it's and then we have these breaks throughout the season, so it lets my old body some time to heal. But kudos to those guys that like Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau, those guys, the older guys that are still playing at a high level. That's crazy. They obviously take care of their bodies, and they're obviously great hockey players.
Well, Royce, I appreciate you taking the time once again tonight on MSG at 8 p.m. is Game 6, where we clinched that first-round series against the Flyers. And I hope you and your family stay safe and healthy up in Toronto. And, when this is all over and you can get in the car and drive over the borders, come down to Buffalo, and maybe we'll meet up with some of our old wrecking crew there and have some fun.
Sounds good. 100%, man. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, Royce.